our strategies when we did long division before was to skip count. Okay? So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to practice skip counting, but it's going to be with 2 digits. Before it would just be like skip count by the 6s or skip count by your 3s. Move that stool down. And so today, along the edge of your paper, here's what I want you to do. I want you to try and skip count by 21s. Okay? And I'm going to use this timer. Okay, I'm going to use this timer right here, and I'm going to set it to 1 minute. And I want, just down the side of your paper, I want you to skip count by 21s. Now, it looks like some of you already started, so maybe you didn't understand the directions. But I want you to go ahead and skip count starting now. Okay, go ahead and stop. So, how far did you get?
421.
421?
210.
210.
189.
Okay, let's talk. You must have a strategy then, because that's a really long way to. All right, so what was your strategy? Who got it figured out? Did everybody figure out a strategy? Caden, what did you figure out?
It goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then it goes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
So what he's saying is the ones place is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, and then you start over with 1. And this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now just a minute. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And I know that when I get to this 0, I will have to regroup. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 21. When you get to 21, you start over with the 0. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll stop there. And you're still going to count by 2s, but it's not the even numbers this time. What is it? The odd numbers. So Kevin figured this out.
No, I didn't. I just thought it was like 1, 1, 1, 1.
Oh, so yours probably wasn't right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is to 305. Okay? So now I want to do the same thing, but I want to try it with the 43s. Okay? So you're going to skip count by 43s. You'll get to come up with a similar strategy, but I don't think it's going to be quite as easy. So go ahead and start now. Okay, that one was harder, wasn't it? How far did you get?
399.
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see what strategy we can come up with for 43. So 43, what was the next one? 86. And that's about where my skip counting ended for me. Because I knew there was going to be regrouping. And I didn't know how to deal with that. Some of you are good enough, and I am too, but I'm too tired today. This is a Tuesday that feels like a Monday. So here's my strategy, and I'm just going to share it with you. I'm just going to start adding. Literally, I just add 43 each time. Okay? And I didn't even put the addition sign down. How am I doing? So this was my lazy woman's way of adding and skip counting by 43s, okay? Now, we're going to need the skip counting later on. Let's go ahead and do this page right here. These are the 3 lessons I skipped, okay? Now, we're going to use this word, and I'm going to use it because I think it's the best word I can come up with. Tweak. Does anyone know what tweak means? You could fix it, definitely.
Oh, like you.
You could change it.
Yeah, like
you could change it. Modify it a little bit. Okay.
Mess around with it.
When that heater wasn't working right, Mr. Salazar and I went in there and we tweaked it a little bit to see if we could get it to work right. Guess what? We failed, but we tried. Okay? So we're going to estimate and divide, and that's different than estimate and multiply. It's different than estimate and subtract or add also. Okay? Because I can only round one of these numbers. I can only round my divisor. So round your divisor. Go ahead, do that now. Now on the first number, I might be able to round it. And then it will divide evenly. But I might not be able to round it, and you're going to see that in a minute, okay? So could I round this one to the highest place value and it's going to work? Actually, I could. Okay, so I'm going to cross off 1 0 on each. What's 90 divided by 3? 3 with a 0, so 30. Okay? Let's look at the next one. If I round the divisor of 33, what will I round it to? Okay, this one's not going to work. If I round that to 200, it's not going to divide evenly. 20 is not divisible by 3. So I've got to find a number that's better. I wonder if my recording can hear me that far away. Okay, so if I find a number that's better, there's a trick to doing it. Would you like to know my trick? Skip count. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Then add a 0. Everybody do that now. So I just skip counted by 30s. Well, is there a number over to the side that's very close to 152?
Yeah,
150. So here's what I did. I changed 152 to 150 because then I won't have a remainder. 15 divided by 3, what is it? 5? Okay, let's do the next one. 98 rounds to 100. Can I round 398? Yeah, what's it round to? 400. So, is this going to divide evenly without a remainder? Okay. Now the last one. You're already looking at it, aren't you? If I round 81, it's going to be 80. If I round 7,272 to the highest place value, it's going to be 7,000. 8 does not go into 70. So I can't do it. So I've got to find a number on my multiples of 8. Can you think of your multiples of 8? Is there a number close to this? What is it?
72,000.
72. But it's going to be 7,200 because you don't want to change the number of digits. Okay? So good job, Bella. 78, 8 goes into 72 how many times? 9. Do I need to add a 0 to my answer?
Yes.
Yes. Okay? So those are the 3 lessons you missed. We're going to keep practicing those. Let's go to the application problem now.
7 minutes.
All right. So this application problem reminds me of that Berenstein Bears book, The Prize-Winning Pumpkin or something like that.
Oh, that one.
I don't know, but doesn't Papa Bear grow a big pumpkin?
Oh, yeah.
But somebody grows a bigger one? Is that how it goes? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, at the Highland Falls Pumpkin Growing Contest, the prize-winning pumpkin contains 360 seeds. The proud farmer plans to sell his seeds in packs of 12. How many packs can he make using all the seeds? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. We just read it. We're going to draw, and then we're going to write. That means write a sentence, okay?
I think I already know how to do
What's the best thing I could draw? Am I multiplying or dividing here? Dividing. What's the best thing I could draw? I'm just going to make myself a,
tape diagram.
yep, tape diagram.
You're lucky you get to just.
Yeah, I know, it's so fun. Technology makes me happy. Okay, so I'm going to draw a tape diagram, right? And go ahead and draw it. Do I have a total here?
Yes.
What is it?
360 seeds.
360. And I'm going to sell them in packs of 12.
360 divided by 12.
Okay, so Kevin's already thinking, and in some of the other classes they did this. But there's an easier way. Okay, just a minute. So I'm not going to write that, okay? And I want to think about this because I'm confused on this tape diagram. All right? I'm going to do 360 divided by 12. So how many boxes would I need here? 12. Now, an easy way to make 12, look at this. Make fourths. And then divide each fourth into thirds. Isn't 3 times 4, 12? Somebody in one of the other classes said they divided it in half and then put 6 on each side. So this one box will give me my answer. But it's a little bit confusing because it's asking me for how many packs of seeds he can make. And this looks like it's going to just be 12 packs, doesn't it? So the tape diagram is a little confusing. My answer is going to be wherever I put the question mark. But I'm not going to have 12 packs. There's going to be 12 in each pack. Now here's my idea. Kevin was on the right track. He said, take off a 0 and then put it back on. Okay? So what really happens if I take off a 0? What happens mathematically?
Smaller.
It gets smaller. So that means I'm dividing. So if I do 360 and I take off a 0, what am I really doing?
You're just making a
I'm dividing by 10. That's how I get rid of the 0, right? I divide by 10. So Kevin says, take this off, divide by 10 is how you take it off, then do the division, then put it back on. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you what that looks like using the distributive property, my favorite property. So I could decompose this as what? 36 times 10. Write it down. And then divided by 12. This is what really happens, okay? I don't really take that 0 off. I just move it. So I'm going to move that 0 to the end. Now, when I move that 0 to the end, that means I'm going to have the 36 and the 12 here in parentheses. Now, did you notice I haven't put my symbols in there yet? That's because we need to talk about this. Should I keep the multiplication sign or move it with the 10?
Move it with the 10.
Otherwise, it's not going to work. So what's 36 divided by 12?
3.
And what's 3 times 10?
30.
So that's what we really did, Kevin. Okay? But in our minds, we take off the 0, do 36 divided by 12 equals 3, then put the 0 back on. Okay? But this is what happens mathematically. Okay? What sentence could I write for this? Max, give me a sentence to write for my answer. The farmer will, how many packs can he make using all the seeds? We have an answer. What is it? Okay, so tell me this in a sentence. The farmer will make 30 packs of seeds or pumpkin seeds, right? All right. So, tape diagrams. They're going to save your life one of these days. Not really, but they might help you get pass a test. Okay, let's talk about the lesson for today. So, the lesson for today, we're starting long division with 2-digit divisors. Okay? And I want to review some things. So, you're going to have to write this down also. I actually have room down at the bottom to write all this, but I think I'm going to write it at the top. So, words, I need some words here. What goes on the outside? What's the name of that number? Divisor. Awesome. I divide by the divisor. Write it down. Okay? Now, what other word do you remember?
Remainder.
True, but I'm not even going to worry about that right now.
The doghouse.
Yeah, this is the division sign. We called it the doghouse, okay? And we said the big dog goes in the doghouse. Now, it's not the big number, because now we know decimals. It's the largest word. So the word that's the largest, dividend.
Yeah.
Dividend. And that's a hard word to remember, but you're going to hear me use it a lot. Okay? And then do you remember what the answer to a division problem is called?
No. Quotient.
Quotient. Okay, so write all those down. And then the remainder would be down at the end, right? Okay, so now that I've got that done, remember, here's the problem. 70 divided by 30, okay? Which number is the divisor?
70. No.
Did you listen to my question?
30. Oh, no.
30. So the 30 is going here. Which number is the dividend? 70. Now, we really got pretty good at this before because we just said the first number goes in the doghouse. Remember that?
Yeah, I was thinking
First number goes in the doghouse. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is write your problem correctly, okay? Then I want you to round your divisor. Now, it just so happens that this divisor is already rounded because it's a multiple of 10, so I don't have to do anything to it. But in the next lesson, I'll have to round it, okay? After you round, you know what you do? Starts with an S. Skip count. Very good. These are called multiples. So I'm going to write the multiples of 30, but I have a trick. I just write the multiples of 3 and add a 0. Okay? So I didn't even really need to go that far. I could have stopped here. Okay? Now, do you remember when I said we're going to tweak the number? Change it a little? Make it work for us? Okay? Fix it? So I'm going to tweak 70. Which number over to the side is closest to 70? 60. Okay? So now I've got an estimate here. What's 60 divided by 30?
2.
2. That means 2 goes on top of the doghouse. Okay? Because the way we did this before, look. Well, 60 divided by 30 is what I needed to do. 60 divided by 30 equals 2. Remember this from last time? But there's no reason to write all that out because we have our 2 right here. Okay? So now, where do I write the 2?
On top of the 7.
Wrong.
On top of the 0.
Can I make 30 groups out of just 7?
No.
No. So that's a 0. And you're going to see a lot of this. So where will I write the 2?
On top of the 0.
On top of the 0. Okay? Now I multiply. What do I multiply? 2 times 30, which I already know because it's here and here. So what is it?
60.
60. After I multiply, what do I do?
You did subtract.
Subtract.
Then you get
And after I subtract,
10.
oh, I'm going to write it. Does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers? What do I do after I subtract, boys and girls? Check. What do I check, Bryston? What do I check, Amiley? If the remainder is less than the divisor. Perfect. I love the way you said those words. Is it?
Yes.
So that's my remainder. Remember, I want you to write your remainder with a capital R, not a lowercase. All right. So now, I notice over here it says to check the problem. Okay? Now that doesn't mean check to see if this is less than this. This means check the problem. So, I didn't tell you this ahead of time, but get a highlighter.
Oh, look at me.
And some of you still have it out. And I want you to highlight those numbers, and I'm going to push pause while you're getting it. Okay, so I've highlighted these 3 numbers. They're very important. I highlighted the quotient, the divisor, and the remainder. Okay? And I've got to use those when I check. Now, I'm going to do a multiplication problem and a division problem. And I think they're going to be opposites, don't you? Okay, so if I do 15 divided by 3 equals 5, don't write this. What multiplication problem would help me check this?
5 times 3.
So do you see the 15 and the 15? So this is the dividend, and this is the product. Okay, and we're going to compare these two at the end, and if they match, then we did it correctly. Okay, so here's what I'm going to multiply. I'm going to multiply the 30 times the 2. So just write 30 times 2 down. And my answer is what?
60.
60. Then I'm going to add the remainder. And that should give me the dividend that I started with. Okay, now I want you to do one more thing just the first few days that we do this. I want you to highlight those 3 numbers in here so you know you used all 3 of them. Because if you didn't use all 3, you're not quite done. Okay, let's do another. Next problem. First step, what is it?
Put the 60 on the outside of the doghouse.
So write the problem. And Kevin says the 60 is the divisor. You agree? Okay. Next step.
Estimate.
Estimate. So round my divisor. Is it already rounded?
Yep.
Yes. It's already a multiple of 10. After I round my divisor, what do? Starts with an S.
You skip count.
Skip count. I can stop when I get past 430. Now remember, I skip counted by 6s, and then I add a 0. And I was singing that little 6s song in my head. I know, I knew some of you were. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about next. I know it's going to be 430 because I can't make 60 groups out of just 4. And I can't make 60 groups out of 43. It's still too small. So this is a 0, and this is a 0. We've got 2 zeros in front. Stop tapping, please. Okay, which number over to the side?
42.
Well, almost. 420, right? So 42 divided by 6.
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So what number goes on top here? 7. And then 7 times 60. No, it's not 42. 420. After I multiply, what do I do? Subtract. After I subtract, what do I do? Check. Is 10 less than 60? Is my remainder less than my divisor? Okay. So, capital R, 10. Highlighter. What will I highlight here?
70.
Good. Now I wanted to tell you that I highlight the remainder at the bottom, because I could highlight it up here at the top, couldn't I? But I highlighted at the bottom for a reason. Would you like to know what the reason is? It's pretty important. That reminds me that I'm going to add my remainder at the end of the problem. At the end of when I check, my remainder gets added in. Okay? So what will I multiply here?
60 times 7.
60 times 7, which we already know. It's not 42. What is it? 420. And what do I add?
10.
And to double check to make sure I didn't skip anything, just for this first lesson, I would like you to highlight. Now, did I have a dividend that matched?
Yes.
I did. Okay. All right, we have one more problem. Okay. This one's a little trickier, but it's fun.
Okay.
First step. Brendan, what's my first step? Write down my dividend and my divisor. Good. Next step. How about Yondell? Yondell, what's my next step? Round. Round what? No. What do I round, boys and girls? The divisor. 90. Here's how I know you're listening, if you can answer my questions. Okay? After I round it, it's already rounded, isn't it? What do I do next? Skip count. Okay? I'm going to skip count by 9s. Now, how far do I need to go? Well, I know 57 isn't big enough here, so I'm going to have to go all the way to past 572. So I'll stop there, don't you think? Okay. Make sure you add your zeros. So which number over to the side is closest to 572?
540.
540. So there's a couple ways I could figure this out. I could do 54 divided by 9, or I could just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's still going to be the same thing. Now I've got to decide, where do I write that 6?
On top of the 2.
Good, you're right, on top of the 2. We're sometimes going to write on top of the second number, sometimes on top of the first number, but this time it's the ones place. So now I multiply 6 times 9. What do I get?
540.
And when I subtract, I get 32. Is 32 going to check out?
Yeah.
Is it less than 90?
Yes.
So that's my remainder. Now I hear some of you already getting the lids off your highlighters. What will I highlight?
32, 6, and 90.
Good. And I like the way you said 6. We don't want to highlight those 2 zeros in front of the 6, do we? Okay, so I'm going to multiply.
90 times 6.
Add my remainder. Check to make sure that matches my dividend. Okay, how you doing?
Good.
Good job today.